when an Indian kid from anywhere in India goes abroad, there is this edge that they gain. And I've heard parents say shit like, yo, the education abroad isn't much better than India or anything, but there is some kind of an edge that people gain, which is why I actually want to ask you about Wharton. All my life, my relatives told me, don't aim for Wharton. When you're thinking of your MBA, go for Wharton, go for UPenn. What is that like? I haven't gone there. I can't go there right now because of work.
Yeah.
I don't intend on. Give me the 4 years in a paragraph.
Yeah. So, and this is, I'll challenge what you said here, right?
Sure.
I think it's less about going to UPenn or Wharton or a school in the US. I think it's about going to a zone where you're not comfortable and where you don't know people, right? So I grew up in Jalandhar and Dehradun. I think had I come to Bombay or had I gone to Bangalore for my education, I think I would have had a similar experience and similarly enriching experience that I had in the US. Because I would be thrown out of my comfort zone and I'll have to make friends from scratch. I'll have to learn things from scratch. I'll have to understand the culture from scratch. And all those things would teach me concepts like mirroring, all of those, right? So I think it's not about the US. It's not about good colleges. I think it's about being outside of your comfort zone. However, I will still talk about what it is that colleges in the US and top colleges in the US give you that perhaps other colleges don't.
Sure.
Right?
This is Ivy League.
Correct. The Ivy
Give
League.
some context on what Ivy League is.
Sure. So in the US, there are 8 colleges which are the top. Those 8 form like 8 of the top 10 colleges in the US, right?
Possibly in the world. Some of the top ones in the
Yeah,
world.
I mean, if you remove Oxford, Cambridge, then sure, right? So it's like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Penn, 4 others. And these colleges basically got named the Ivy League because they have a sports competition that takes place every year called the Ivy League.
This is great branding.
Great branding, right? Yeah, think about it. So, Khelo India. So that's how these 8 colleges sort of build their brand. And I think what is significantly different about these 8 colleges is, number one, that these are multidisciplinary institutions, right? So my roommate was someone who was a doctor, who was studying medicine, right? A roommate in another year was someone who was like hardcore finance, right? Another year was someone who was a material scientist, right? Another year was somebody who was 8 years older than me, had already done his PhD in physics from Harvard, and then God spoke to him and told him, listen, physics is not for you. You can't help the world with your physics research. You should development economics. So he left his PhD in the middle. He was on a Nobel laureate path. He left his physics in the middle, came to Penn, and started doing his development economics ka PhD, right? So you meet these different kind of people who ask you very interesting questions, right?
What do you mean?
So when we are hanging out with friends, right, and friends we are comfortable with, friends are childhood friends, they will not challenge us, right? They know us, we know them, we know what floats their boat, they know what floats our boat, right? And so the conversation we'll be having is layer 1, layer 2 conversations. We'll never have deep conversations because there's nothing different about us. There's nothing interesting about you that I get.
Yeah.
So when I was in a conversation with Peter, my friend who was from Bahamas, the PhD student I was telling you about, we met on a pool. He was swimming, I was swimming. And we stopped in the same, the lap, right? And then we started talking to each other. And I didn't realize where 20 minutes went. The first question he asked me, oh, Pratham, so why did you leave India to come to college in the US? India does not have good colleges. Imagine that question. Would our childhood friend ask us that question? Probably not, right? And then another one of my friends who I met, right, Randy, who became my business partner, his question is like, Pratham, why do you want to start a company? Right? The company that we eventually ended up starting. And I was like, because I want to start it. He's like, no. Tell me, why do you want to start a company? Right? What is your motivation? Because if I'm partnering with you, I want to do this for life, right? And so he asked me like 5 chains of why. Why do you want to do this? Then I would answer like, I want to do this because, I want to make money. He's like, why do you want to make money? What is your motivation? I want to make my parents proud. Why do you want to make your parents proud, right? So I think these people challenge you in different ways. I think, so diversity, I think, is what makes these places very, very effective.
And the challenges are what allow conversations to dive to deep layers, dude. Honestly. Correct. Specifically, Wharton, UPenn, what is the education like there, dude? Like, I mean, see, everyone knows how Indian teachers would teach us in colleges. It's usually, okay, this is what's in the textbook. These are the points. Some of the good teachers, they go slightly deeper into the points, but that's very rare. There'll be like 1 or 2 teachers every semester.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what happens in UPenn, in Wharton, in Ivy League colleges? Are the professors really like top notch? Like, do they make you question yourself? Do they force you to go deeper?
I'll be very honest, yeah. And this is 4 years of me studying there, and then comparing that to my experience in India, it's no different at all. The teaching in an Ivy League and a teaching in an Indian tier 2, tier 3 college, beyond a point, it's no different at all.
Wow, really?
Truly,
So,
truly.
are you paying all that money for your kid to go and meet other intelligent people? Is that
Exactly. That's about it. I think you pay for a club membership, right? Because the content that they're giving you is no different from the content that is available on YouTube, that is available on Coursera, that is available in India in any college. I was surprised they even prescribed the same books, right? It's no different.
So the parents who are forcing urban kids to get into Ivy League colleges are actually doing it for their own sense of status in some forms, that my kid went to this Ivy League college.
Well, I'm sure that's part of the motivation. But the other thing is that what actually does work is that when they go there, the peer group that they meet, I think that is what they're paying for, right? It's not the teachers. Believe me, it's not the teachers. It's not the curriculum. It's just that you're surrounded by people who are incredibly curious, right? They're ambitious and they're high achieving, right? And they have a good sense of common sense, and they will challenge you, right? That's what you're paying for. You're paying for people who, it's a club membership. I really believe it's a club membership.
I'm not trying to suck on my own dick here, but can a podcast in the long term with the right guests simulate that Ivy League college experience?
I think so. I mean, we're already going so deep in the conversation, but yes, like if the relationship that you build with your guests, transcends beyond this 1 hour, 2 hour session, and then you continue to explore those gehraiyan with those with those guests of yours, then yes.
What about for the listeners? If they stick to like a few podcasts where you go extremely deep, I mean, where the host goes extremely deep with multiple guests, are you sort of getting some form of higher education according to you?
I think that's passive. It's not active, right?
Okay.
When you're listening to two people talk, so you can absorb it, sure, but you're not actively engaged in it. Your hypothalamus is not as it's not buzzing with activity, right? So I think what you can do, if let's say you're in a tier 3 city and you're stuck there for whatever reason, right? You cannot go to an Ivy League, you cannot go to Bangalore, you cannot go. What I would suggest is meet people who are most unlike you, right? Even if it's your house help's son or daughter, right? Even if it's your driver, even if it's and just try to have a conversation with them, right? And try to explore some depth with them. I think it'll not be too different. It'll not be too different, right? Just make friends on Instagram, like message people who you're inspired by, talk to them, say just 30 minutes of your time. Like, I mean, I have people who message me on Instagram. It's like, just let's talk for 30 minutes, right? And I love that.
Man, what you're saying is advice I wish someone had given me when I was 21, 22. If someone had just told me what you just said, it would have changed a lot for me between 22 to when I started the podcast, which is 26. Growth would have been faster. That explore depths with people.
Good.